10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Power Hour, live, competitionplus.com. Hit the like button, hit the share button, dive into the comment section. We have got a good show tonight. I know we don't have on the card who we've got on, but just up, he's on deck, if you will, is Jim Oberhofer, the U.S. Nationals Top Fuel Crew Chief winner, getting Clay Millican winning the most prestigious race in all of the drag racing world. Cool deal there. And then we're going to have Kayla Mosris. Not sure if we're saying that right. We'll get that corrected when she gets on. And Cali Neff. Now, you all out there may not have heard of these ladies, but they made history at the U.S. Nationals in competition eliminator in several different ways. Looking forward to chatting with them as well. Dugenais, it's all stacked. And beyond talking to our guests, the drag racing world from end to end has news everywhere.
Yeah, it does. It's a lot to talk about. Really excited, man. And it's cool to carry it over here to the Power Hour as I, just got off the Not Bland show. And just not too long ago, we were just talking about Jimmo.
Well, we're going to be talking with him in just a couple of moments. Certainly interested in getting the conversation with him because, Clay's had an interesting year, has been a contender. And, well, Indy, it just seems like an Indy, special things happen. And that was certainly a special win. It's going to be a win that we are all talking about for many, many years to come. We're pumped up, and we're pumped up right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour because of Weldon High Performance. They make the pumps you need for your hot rod or your hot rod in the air. Whether it's a strip or in the air, Weldon High Performance. They've got the pumps you need. Live, Jimmo with us here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Man, good to have you back on. We had you on around this time last year, if I remember correctly. It was going in before the countdown or after the countdown, and I remember it because it was around the Fall Nationals, and thanks to Fred Spell for buying us barbecue. That was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, how about that? First I got to thank you guys for having me back on, and we're going to go do that deal with Fred again, Lee, so make sure you're there. Dude, you need to come down too, man. It's some good barbecue.
Yeah. I'd love to do that. Definitely. I tell you what, man.
You're invited.
First right out of the gate here. Arby's, I've been pitching for you guys. This has been excellent pair with you and Arby's. I'm hoping there's some news of some long-term deal, because I've been chomping at the bit, putting out my promotion to support the fact that you guys need to pair up for the long term. They need to come on over, get a little seat on the couch, get a little Mission Foods chips and dip, and be along for the ride.
Well, I'll tell you, I got my Arby's shirt on.
Yes.
So, I tell you, it was an unbelievable weekend having Arby's there on the car, and it was having such a well-known name on our car was just amazing. And we've been fortunate, since I've been here with racing with Clay and with Rick Ware. We've got Parts Plus, and we've had Denzo, we've had Jacobs Construction, we've had Edelbrock and Comp Cams, and Arrowhead Brass, so many great people that have taken part in this Rick Ware racing team. And boy, to have Arby's on the car, that was huge. And then to have the big dog, John from Arby's there with us, especially only one, that was amazing. So I think, we're really hopeful that we're going to have some great things that are going to happen next year, hopefully with Arby's. And, hopefully that'll translate into the NASCAR team as well. I know they're excited about Rick's NASCAR team as well. So we're excited. We're hoping that we can, have some beef and cheddars out at the racetrack. That's for sure.
Heck yeah.
It's certainly exciting. It's exciting not just for Rick Ware Racing, Clay Millican, the NASCAR program, but I think for all of NHRA drag racing. I feel like, and I've called it for many years, circular marketing. You've got automotive entities sponsoring into the automotive world that is drag racing. So anytime an Arby's sponsors into the automotive world, I think that is a win for the teams, for the NHRA, for Arby's itself, because, car people like to eat too. So you start pairing all that together, and it is a big win. I mean, some of the most iconic brands in drag racing, they weren't automotive brands. We're talking about food, beer, things of that nature. So be great to see the future of Arby's paired with Clay Millican. I think that would be Clay and Arby's commercials. That would be interesting. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, we can have them, driving through the drive-through in the top fuel car and doing all sorts of great things. But I think it would be great, the general manager side of me that, used to deal with, sponsor relations and working with sponsors. I think, this Arby's program could really, really be something great for the entire sport. And, maybe attract some other, potential, similar type companies into the sport as well. So we're hoping that something good can happen next year. Parts Plus, they're still with us, and they're, still planning on, being part of this team next year. And so we could see, some Parts Plus paint schemes and some Arby's paint schemes, and who knows what else. I know one thing about Rick Ware. He is simply amazing when it comes to his marketing mind and what he tries to do out there. He has really, really been working hard, all year to try to get something, on our race car that could really complement not only our team, but the sport of NHRA drag racing as well. So, we're excited about it.
Now, in this U.S. Nationals, sometimes athletes kind of get this feeling like it's going to be their day. Was that feeling present on that Monday where you guys were going through the rounds? Did it just feel like everything was clicking, and that as long as you guys did your jobs, that it could be your day?
Well, Nikki Bonifani and I, so I bought a motorhome earlier this year, and I made sure that I got a motorhome that it's got 2 full bathrooms in it, with 2 showers in it, because I told my girlfriend, Sarah, she's like, why do you need 2 full showers? I said, well, Nikki's going to stay with us. And even if I tell him he can't stay with us, he's still going to stay with us. And so she's like, oh, okay, now I get it. But anyway, Nikki and I, we enjoy staying at motorhome, but we obviously spend a lot of time talking about the race car. And Sunday night, when we got back to the motorhome, we were, winding down and talking about the next day. We were very confident that we were going to win. And we both said, if we can get by first round, we're going to win this race. And, obviously the weather conditions changed, and, the air was much drier, much cooler, track was cool. And, we've been working on some things, and we saw a little glimpse of maybe what it could do when we're out in Sonoma. We ran 366, 338. And, we were thinking that we, could build off of that. We went to Brainerd, didn't go so well, but we kind of reevaluated everything, and we built a setup that we thought, okay, we're going to pull this out in the countdown and go after it. And we decided, hey, we're going to do this Monday morning, and if we can get by first round and beat Antron, we're going to win this race. And lo and behold, we did. And backing up even a little bit further, my daughter and I, we were talking on Wednesday, and my daughter Ashley, she's like, "Pops, you're going to win this race." And she says, "I'm confident you're going to win this race." And she says, "I'm going to be really bummed when I'm not there, to witness it in person," because she lives down in Austin, Texas now, and she's running a restaurant down there, managing a restaurant, bar and grill type deal. And they had the race on TV on Monday, and she just knew it. And it was absolutely amazing. And going back to Friday and how weird the whole qualifying deal was, you were just hopeful that you can qualify. And when you see, Doug Coletta didn't qualify, and Langdon struggled, and, Jasmine Salinas didn't qualify, a lot of good cars that didn't make it into the show. And, we were thankful that we were in the show, and we felt that, man, if we're one of those 16 cars, we have as good a chance as anybody. And, but I would say probably Monday morning, Nikki and I's confidence level was at, sky high. And we really felt that, we take Antron out, we're winning this race.
Well, that is cool to hear, that confidence and it building up. And with it building up, I want to go all the way back to last year, even mentioning, that time sitting down eating barbecue, mentioned that you think you had found something even at that point to get the program to work where you needed it, not just in ideal conditions, but in, not just hot conditions, but also the ideal conditions, and really lay it down. And then we have the epic boomer on the line. This is not what you all wanted, but nonetheless started the learning process and continued to add to the notebook with clay parts and pieces and things of that nature. So from even that point to now winning a U.S. Nationals and setting yourselves up poised with a lot of momentum to go into the countdown, what has been that grind? What has been working out in the process to win the world's biggest drag race in the world, the most prestigious title that there is, the U.S. Nationals?
Going back to last year, I mean, we had a pretty successful year last year in 2023, but we were also very inconsistent. To win 3 races was amazing and not something that everybody expected, but we were a roller coaster ride, up and down, up and down. And, one of the things, after we won the St. Louis race, our confidence was pretty high, and we felt like, hey, we can, if we do our jobs, we can potentially, still be in this points race. And, unfortunately, we made some of our own mistakes and shot ourselves in the foot at Dallas. And ultimately, we got disqualified from that race because of a piece of ballast that fell off the car after it shook the tires and went into a little bit of a wheel stand mode there. And, and then on top of that, we had to put another car together. Then we went to Vegas. We were very cautious there. And then we went out first round running Steve Torrance, and unfortunately ran something over on the track and blew the tire out. And we basically wrecked that car. That car was no good after that. Then went into Pomona, trying to fight to stay in the top 10. And unfortunately, we just didn't do a good job at that race. And we were very conservative. So this year, bringing Nicky Bonifani on board was huge for me and the rest of these guys. And Nicky and I, we have been friends for a long, long time. And we have a tremendous amount of respect for each other and, our knowledge and things like that. And, the one thing I like to think is that neither one of us, have big egos. I mean, everybody's got some sort of an ego, but Nicky and I, we like to think that we keep ours in check. And we want to focus on the race car. And the nice part is Nicky came in and he wanted to be that mechanical guy. He wanted to work with the guys more, and he wanted me to be the goon up in the lounge, like, figuring out what our next move was with, setups and tune-up programs and things like that. And, I spent all winter, Nikki and I did, on just trying to fine-tune things and trying to figure out, like, I told Nikki, I said, this is what some of our issues were. And when we're on the good racetracks, trying to figure out, how to make those big runs on those good racetracks like some of the other teams do. And we really spent a lot of time going through everything, going through our clutch program, our engine program, everything that we can imagine. And, we went to Bradenton and we did pretty good there. We had some pretty impressive runs. And we kind of put all that, in safekeeping, kind of like use for later type stuff. And, we've started bringing some of that stuff out, and it's worked pretty good. But we've also, as a team, we've had to really learn how to work together, how to race together. And, while we had a lot of the same people from last year to this year, we had people that moved into different positions and they had to learn how to do a different job. And they're really starting to gel. And these kids, and I call them kids on our team because we have a lot of young men on this team. And we've got, an 18-year-old, we've got a couple early 20-year-olds and stuff like that. And they just have an amazing passion about them, and they work together very well. But, they have inexperience, and, between Nikki and myself and Jesse Schneider, our car chief, everybody's been working real hard to try to, get everybody up to speed on experience. And they've really stepped up. And, what we saw at Indy was really a culmination of a lot of hard work this year because, we did have some setbacks this year, going back to Pomona and then Bristol. And we're still a small team, and we're not a highly financed team. So when we go out and we blow a blower off or an injector or knock a rod out of an engine, it's a setback for us. And it takes us a little bit to regroup from that. But, boy, I tell you what, my guys have been just absolutely amazing. And Clay, I mean, he's awesome. I mean, he is. I tell people a lot of times he's really a lot like Doug Coletta in his talent on driving a race car. He just talks a lot more than Doug.
Now, I was going to get to that too with him. You being the head coach of this thing and kind of the offensive coordinator, I look at Clay as the quarterback of this team, and having such a young nucleus there of basically offensive linemen, the guys doing the grunt work. How good is he at being the glue and the catalyst to keeping this team elevated and keeping spirits up?
He is absolutely fantastic. And the thing I love about Clay is he doesn't get down on things. We could go out and not make a good run, lose a round, because we've got outrun or we smoke the tires or something like that. And he never comes back negative. He's always positive about what the next move is. He's positive. He tries to find positive in everything that happened. And that's what's really amazing about Clay, and his belief in me and his belief in Nikki and what we're trying to do with this team. It says everything. Both he and his wife, Donna, she's just as amazing as Clay is. And, Clay and I, we've talked a lot, over, the few years that we've been working together. And, anytime you're out there racing a car, and doing what we get to do, and, Clay getting to drive a 330 mile an hour race car, and myself and Nikki getting to tune a 330 mile an hour race car, and Jesse and the boys, getting to work on this, 330 mile an hour race car. That's pretty cool stuff. And I've told people, and my brother and Nikki and I have talked about this many times. It's like we've only had, in our opinions, one bad day at the racetrack, and that was in 2008 when we lost our big brother Scott Coletta. And every other day is just a blessing to be out there and race, and race with people you love, race with people you enjoy being around, and that's what's the most important thing. And Clay, losing his son Dalton, some years ago, and myself losing my wife Tammy, we share some similar loss in our lives, and we talk about it every now and then, and I think that that kind of gives us a better appreciation of really how special it is to be doing what we're doing. And I just love Clay. He's just an awesome guy.
Jimmo, football is well underway, and Dujanay mentioned you being like head coach out there with the team for the Rick Ware racing effort in the National Hot Rod Association. Maple Grove, what is the playbook for this coming weekend to get the countdown started off right?
Well, I look at this stupid thing, my phone, all the time, and I've been looking at weather. And what I'm seeing right now for Maple Grove, they're saying it's going to be in the mid to low 80s and sunny, but so the outside air temperature will be a little bit warm, but we're getting to that time of the year where the sun angle on the racetrack isn't going to be so crazy. And I think you're going to see some good laps at Maple Grove, maybe not the mine shaft conditions that we're all used to. But I think Friday night you could see some pretty strong runs. And I think first round you could see some pretty strong runs, because I believe we're starting at 10:30 a.m. So that first round run on Sunday could be pretty awesome. But Maple Grove is just an amazing place, and with the captain Kenny Koretsky, taking over, him and his family buying that place, and really done some amazing things with it. And I love racing there. I love everything about that racetrack. And when I was a kid growing up, my brother and I, we grew up on the East Coast, and we lived in New Jersey, and my dad couldn't take us to the drag strips in New Jersey because we had to be, I believe it was 17 to get in the pit area. Well, we were kids, and we had to sit on the other side in the general admission grandstand or spectator grandstands. So my dad would take my brother and I to the races in Maple Grove a lot. So Maple Grove is like, to us, is like that's the place, the Dutch Classic back in the old days. And I remember being there when my dad was part of the Hank Andrews, Chip Brown, Bill Clark, Nirvana Top Fuel dragster team, and they match raced Big Daddy Don Gartlett's, and it was during the week. I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday, and the place was packed. And of course, Gartlett's beat them 3-0 in the best 2 out of 3 match race. But it was like the coolest thing ever, and I just love racing there. Been fortunate, we've won there. We've ran some great numbers there over the years, and hopefully we can do that again here at Maple Grove. Hopefully we can get this countdown off to a good start, and solidify ourselves into being contenders for the championship.
Well, Coach, put in those right plays. Thank you for the time and putting in the time right here on the show tonight, and enjoy Maple Grove. And hey, it's already been special this year. Never know what it might be in the countdown for Clay and you all.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and we're really thankful. We had a goal before we went to Brainerd. We knew 5th place was going to be a little bit out of reach, but we said we need to go into this countdown at no less than 6th place, and we accomplished that. And winning the U.S. Nationals, as a lot of people have told me, crew chiefs and drivers that have won the U.S. Nationals are like, it doesn't get any better than this. And it's been like a celebration, like week long. I went and saw my daughter over the weekend, and I walked into her apartment and she had it all decorated out, red, white, and blue. Congratulations, balloons everywhere, and it was like it started all over, and it was so exciting, and the amount of text messages and calls and messages. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm still trying to answer them all. Clay and I were joking about that this morning, and it's Indy is. I used to hate going there because I struggled there for so long, but now I'm pretty happy about going there.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Congratulations once again, Jim O, to you, the entire team, and much continued success. And would love to see Clay get a championship in the NHRA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys, and hopefully I'll see you with Fred Spell at barbecue time down in Dallas.
All right. See you, man.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Always good to chat with Jim O, one of the good characters out there in the NHRA pits for sure. So good to see Clay Milliken pick up that win along with Jim O Tuning and everyone else involved with that team. Certainly a win that we're going to be talking about for years to come. We've got some Indy winners to talk to here in just a couple of moments, being Kayla and Cali, and they run in Competition Eliminator. The class where you have to be very smart to win anything. And we'll let them explain it because I don't even know how to fully explain it. I appreciate the class, but I'm still like, huh? Nonetheless, they got some cool rides, and they got it done in Indy. One of them winning the shootout, the other one winning the entire event with a runner-up in the shootout, and history made for the ladies with these two ladies. So it was good to have Jim O on. We'll have Cali and Kayla next right here on the Power Hour. And we want to say thank you to Elon Warner for his support for the Competition Plus Power Hour and helping us book the show. And also what he's done for the world of drag racing bracket bonanza. I wonder how much of a bracket buster Clay Milliken, with having the meets, was on Monday at the U.S. Nationals. You all need to play.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Boom! Ladies, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. And let me just say, before we dive into any specifics, Dujane, it's cool to see that the sportsman ranks is not just a bunch of old dudes. Look at these young ladies and getting it done. So cool.
Agreed. It is absolutely and extremely cool to see that. It ain't just a bunch of old guys, and they got it done. Like big time, got it done.
All right. Okay, let's start here first of all, ladies, before we dive into the history and dive into the wins. Congratulations, all the accolades to you two. Why Competition Eliminator? Kayla, start.
You want me to start? Okay.
Well, yeah.
So my father, he's been running comp for the last 20 some odd years. I was just born around the racetrack. I've been at the track since I was about 6 weeks old. Always wanted to be a driver myself. I think the first inkling I had that I wanted to run comp, my dad set the ET record in Econo Dragster back in 2002, 2003. I was around fourth grade or so, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. And that's just kind of where the journey began. I started racing juniors at 12. I was lucky enough to run stock eliminator, super stock, and a few years ago, the opportunity with Clint came about, and I've been running comp ever since.
And explain to me, I'll bring up the photo of your little hot rod that you're in. What is this altered? What is the combination? When I think of altereds, I think of fuel altereds, and they're burning nitro and shifting left and right and bouncing off walls and things of that nature. What are you in?
So this is essentially a half a pro stock motor in this vehicle. It's a 251 cubic inch Ford power plant. It's a JC51 pro stock head with a custom billet block, fuel injected, 3-speed automatic. Our well, now my index is a 804 for K altered automatic. So we run about 740, 750s under the index at about 174 miles an hour. So for a little 4-banger, this thing gets moving.
Very cool. Very cool. Cali, for you, competition eliminator, why are you in the class?
Basically same thing. Dad's been racing comp since I was born pretty much, and I'm actually a 3rd-generation comp racer. My grandpa raced comp, so I started racing juniors when I was 9, and once I got into high school, I was kind of getting burnt out on the juniors, so I took a little bit of a break from that, and then once I turned 18, I believe, Dad looked at me and was like, would you be interested in getting into a comp car? And I was like, yeah. So he let me license in one, and then so this is technically my 3rd year, 2nd full season. I raced a couple races when I was 18, went to like Topeka and Vegas, and that was a lot of fun, and I think that just gave me the itch. And then he was like, you know what, let's do D4 together, and so we started doing that, and yeah.
All right, your hot rod. It is not just a simple super comp dragster like people might be used to at their Friday, Saturday night bracket race. You can clearly look at this, and it's a bit different. What's going on with your ride?
Yes, so it's actually I don't know how long it is exactly, but it definitely is typically it's smaller than like your typical dragster. It looks a little bit smaller. A lot of people think it's a junior in pictures. They're like, oh my god, the thing's so tiny. But we got an inline 6-cylinder Trailblazer motor in it with dual 4-barrel carburetors in it. So yeah.
Yes, yeah, comp, quite interesting with all the different combinations. I mean, if it's not a funny car and not on nitro, you can just about put it in. Ricky Smith proved that with throwing in a Pro Mod at Charlotte earlier this year. That was very cool. All right, ladies. So, okay, let's start diving into all the history part here. Roger Brogdon has put up a lot of money for Competition Eliminator, like thousands of dollars. Which, by the way, just speak on that. How cool is it to be racing in a sportsman class and you've got the opportunity to win tens of thousands of dollars in a class that really doesn't get a lot of exposure, even though it should, with being such a cool class within NHRA? Yeah, thousands of dollars, that opportunity.
I mean, it's definitely brought a lot of life back into Comp Eliminator. I mean, I'm from Phoenix, born and raised, so out here in Division 7. I mean, on average, we get maybe 6-7 cars per field, and that kind of spanned throughout the rest of the divisions. And Roger Brogdon really brought some life back into this class by putting up some money. I think first year was maybe 21 or 22. The original pot to win the championship was $50,000. Now this year in 2024. It's up to $250,000, and we have fields where we're having to actually qualify. You're not just automatically getting in. So the level of competition is really up there, and I think it's making us better drivers. So
I'm interested.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would agree for sure, and I know for a lot of people it's not about the money or anything like that, but I'm sure it is a little bit nicer to be able to get some back of what you're putting in, and it kind of motivates people a little bit more for sure.
So I'm interested in you talked about your index. So how does this work? And secondly, with the index, is there some type of strategy to try to not lower your index, or is there a strategy to gradually lower your index throughout, I guess, a season?
Well, I mean, you're always trying to save index. That's a quote that goes around: save an index, not trying to hurt your index. When we got to Indy, once we got into the later rounds, my crew chief and I kind of agreed, like, well, we got this far. We didn't come this far to only come this far. So I think we were in the 4th round. So that was a round against Roger Brogdon, and we had both kind of agreed, if we got to take some permanent index to be racing on Monday at the big go, we're going to do it. Thankfully for me, Roger was a little tardy, and I was able to, only be 49 under. But we made it to the show on Monday. Come Monday, you know, the conditions really changed. The air got a lot better. I don't know what the numbers were exactly. Quite frankly, we didn't have a weather station all weekend, so we were just straight off going off vibes for what the weather was. But it was a lot cooler. The humidity was way down. I'm sure the water grains were way down too. I ran Don Thomas in the semifinals, and he run me to the paint. And, you know, he apologized after. And the funny thing is, he's the motor builder for Clinton F and all his power plants. But you know, it's Indy. When you're that deep in eliminations, you kind of got to take what you got to take. You know, you never know when you're going to be there again. In the final, I mean, Joe definitely outdrove me on the starting line. I was very tardy. But again, I was legging it. I was running that thing to Chicago. I was getting to the stripe first, and I did. You know, I'm going to pay for it moving forward, driving this car. But in my opinion, it was worth it. So.
Right, you won the big go. It might have cost you a little bit, but you'll figure that out later on going down the road.
Yeah, like I told Joe, we'll figure that out later. You know.
Right. Figure that out later. Callie, you know, you with strategy. In the index, what are your thoughts? Like, continue to try to lower it, or, you know, hold back a little bit, stay where you're at, that type of thing?
Definitely try to stay back as much as possible. I think we all still have a little bit more power we can give, but we'd rather not use it. But, you know, I'm still learning how to play the finish line a little bit, and I, you know, was doing that a little too much in Indy during the actual race, so kind of lost it there for myself, but it's okay. I'm getting better. I'm learning, and you learn as you go.
All right, so set us up on the weekend. You two are in a historical moment with a all-lady shootout final. Like, that's never happened in the NHRA. Like period. It's never happened. Fuel, funny car, pro stock, like nothing. This is the first time it's ever happened, and it's happened in competition Eliminator. So how much money was on the line, and what was the moments leading up to the final for the money? Roger's money. Thank you, Roger. We'll start with you, Kayla.
So coming in, you know, thankfully, Cali, Clint, and myself, we all qualified in the top 16 points earners going into Indy for the Cash Clash, which, you know, if we look back last year, we had 3 cars and 3 of the cars did not qualify. So even just qualifying was quite the accomplishment for us. You know, we had a chip draw Thursday night to set the field. We entered in as 11, 12, and 15, I believe. So, you know, as the chips kept getting drawn, it started looking like we were going to be matching up, you know, pretty early on in eliminations. And as it happened, Clint and I had to run each other first round. So I was feeling very confident up until that point. I was like, oh man, you know, I got to run my car owner first round. We were hoping to spread it out, you know, that way we just had that much better of a chance to take more money home. But, you know, Clint ended up blowing off the tires first round. So I got by first round. I took a little index against Ticky. Second round, I made it by Jason Grima in the semis. And I was the first pair to run. Callie was behind me in the semis. And, you know, I'm just down there by myself. I couldn't hear the loudspeaker or anything, but all of a sudden I just hear one car going down the track, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what's going on. Like, okay, is that Rick's car? Is that Callie's car? And I see my crew chief coming down the track in the tow vehicle, and he's driving pretty slow. So I'm trying to wave him on down, like, hurry up. I need to know what's happened. And I'm giving him like the thumbs up, thumbs down, you know, pointing to Callie because she turned off the track. And he's like, yeah, she won. And I just remember just letting out this big old, like, yeah. You know, I was so stoked just knowing we were both in the final. Because at the end of the day, you know, the money was going home with Neff and Moseris Racing. And like we said in our interview with Les Mayhew, at that point, the money was going home with us, but at, you know, the bragging rights were what was on the table. So, and ultimately Callie got the bragging rights. And, you know, I think seeing her win her first race was more special to me than had I won. You know, we all deserve that first win. And I'm going to get choked up, but seeing her so happy and Clint so happy and her mom, Jamie, and the whole team, I mean, that's a memory that's going to live with us forever. So.
Certainly a fascinating story. Teammates, here's a picture of the final, and Cali Neff over there in the dragster does pick up the win and team win. Cali, congratulations on your first win. I didn't realize that. I hadn't noticed that in any of the articles I read. No one had quite mentioned that it was your first win. Kayla is accomplished in some other classes, from what I understand, within the sportsman ranks, but congratulations on the first win. And yeah, what are you going to do with the money? I mean, I mean, it's a lot of money. What are you going to do?
That's what everybody's asked. I let Dad have it all. I figured,
No.
Yes.
No.
No, he puts all the money into the racing fund, and he just spent a lot getting our motors freshened over the winter or over the last couple months, and he got a new motor put together, and he deserved it more than anybody. All I cared about was that win. I didn't care about the money, and the trophy is cool as it is, and it's unique, and it's one of a kind. So that was more than I could have ever asked for. So I gave it all to him, and he said, well, I want to give you half. And I told him no. I was like, I don't need it. Even though I could pay off my truck with it, I don't need it.
Oh, you can tell she thought about it. She thought about it. It was there. You're such a sweet daughter. I'll give you that. I give you props for that. I would take the money and pay my car off. Well, ladies, look, congratulations on a historic moment. And look, we're very excited. Dugenais, we were commenting before ever getting on the show, like yesterday. He's like, I have no clue who these ladies are. I'm like, well, I don't either. But I love the opportunity to be able to put you all on a platform and say, hey, these two people were part of history. That is very cool. And so glad to be able to showcase you two on the show. Now, Cali, how was your U.S. Nationals? Were you able to race on Monday? What did it look like for you in eliminations?
Unfortunately, I did not race on Monday. I lost third round. I was playing the finish line a little too much, so I lost just barely. But it was still a great weekend, and other than the first race of the season, that had been the farthest I had made it in an actual race, a national or divisional. So it's been kind of hit or miss this season for me. So I was glad to make it to the third round, and I had won the day before. So I was already satisfied with the weekend, and Kayla was going. And by the time she got to the semis, I was like, she's got it. She has got this race in the bag. So it was awesome to bring home 2 trophies, both of us getting a win out of it. I couldn't have asked for a better weekend.
Playing the finish line. Explain to us what is playing the finish line.
I mean, I guess you guys like a lot of heads up stuff.
Yeah, usually they're at this point. They're like, who are we talking to? Like, they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You got to explain everything. What's going on?
This guy's an idiot.
I mean, in comp, we run off an index. You're trying to run, as far under your index to a certain point without being penalized. It is first to the finish line, no breakouts. So, that just goes back to the saving your index. If you can see that you've got about a 3+ car lead on the guy coming up to 1,100 foot, you want to start scrubbing a little bit, whether you're ripping the throttle or hitting the brakes. I messed up pretty badly against Scott Linder in second round. Mind you, the little altered only goes about 174. And I think he's got like 700 plus cubic inches in his A altered. He's running about 215 or something. So that's quite a big mile an hour split. Yeah. So I'm looking in the mirrors, trying to find him, just expecting him to blow by me. And I think I got to about, 1,100 feet, and I go, oh boy, he's not coming. And I'm just, I parked the brakes, and that thing had carbon brakes on it, and car got a little squirrely. But, I ended up taking 700 in index penalty, but we got the win, So it's all a learning process. This is only my second year in comp, but I think for only 2 years in as a team, we're doing pretty well. And it's just a testament to Clint and, the wizard that he is. And I mean, we've got 3 cars that are well over 65 plus under. So all the glory goes to him. We're the lucky ones. At least I know I am. I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity with him and Clint and Jamie and our whole team. So.
Well, it sounds like your boy here needs to be paying a little bit more attention to you guys. down there in Comp Eliminator. It sounds pretty cool. It's just hard for me to understand certain things that go on in Comp Eliminator. But man, this is absolutely the most coolest thing I think that I've done all year, being able to interview you guys in history, man. It's not too many people get to do that. And you guys have your names cemented in history. That has to feel like special.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I was always hoping to be a part of history somehow. So to do this together, that even means that much more. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wild in a sport that ladies have done so much in. There's honestly not much left to prove, if you will. And this is the first ever all-lady final. I mean, like, Pro Stock Motorcycle didn't have it.
Right.
I mean, you would, fascinating, just fascinating. Kayla, you are the 2024 U.S. Nationals Comp Eliminator champion.
Yes, sir.
You just won the world's biggest, most prestigious drag race. And I want to frame it this way. You didn't win it in Top Fuel. You didn't win it in Funny Car. You didn't win it in Pro Stock Motorcycle or Pro Stock. Does that mean any less to you?
Oh, absolutely not. I have no aspirations to ever run any pro class. I don't want to run Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock. Comp right here, this is my Pro Stock. This is what I've always wanted to run, and now to have the opportunity and to say that we're U.S. Nationals champions, I mean, that's pretty awesome. I just barely started feeling like it actually happened maybe a couple days ago. All last week, I couldn't even fathom that we accomplished that. I was leaving for work on Wednesday after I got back from the race, and I walked out the door and I go, oh man, I forgot the Wally on the counter. Like it just didn't even dawn on me that it won. I wanted to take it to work to show my dad and everything. And, so it's been an unreal week, and I'm very thankful. I've always wanted to win a national in comp. I've been fortunate to win a national in stock, super stock, and I was waiting on that comp win to, round it out. But to say it happened at Indy, I mean, this is just the toughest race of the year, and we were fortunate enough to do it. So.
Amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. I asked that because I don't think enough people realize that winning the U.S. Nationals, it doesn't matter what class you've won it in, you are a U.S. Nationals champion. It doesn't just have to be for Top Fuel and in Pro Stock and the professional classes. You will forever be known as a U.S. Nationals champion. That is very cool.
That's wild.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies, look, thank you for your time. Keep up the good work, and thank you for bringing down the average age and upping the looks of the sportsman ranks. Appreciate it.
Facts.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
That was
That's a great conversation. Really,
Yeah.
really enjoyed talking with those ladies.
Yeah, me too, man. Learned a lot, and this guy's got a lot of learning. I know racing, but some stuff I just don't know, and I don't mind saying I don't know. So I appreciate the schooling by the young ladies, and I'll continue to learn and pay a little bit more attention.
It's a fascinating class. Again, from just about, if to boil it down, you can't run a funny car and you can't put anything on nitro. Just about everything else can play.
Right.
But you have this personal index you carry with you, and as they said though, you can damage, you can lower that index,
Right.
And then, well, if you're not running up to it, it's a lot of strategy. It is a smart person's class.
It really is. It really seems like it, and I tell you, I'm with her though. I'm throwing that index in the trash to win.
I don't blame. Hey,
I would have done it too. There's no way I'm worried about an index when I can win the 70th
right.
U.S. Nationals. Yeah, and be forever known as a U.S. Nationals champion, along with great people like the likes of Dom Perdome. Yeah, I'm taking that index as far as I can go, as low as it can go to get that win.
I think people just don't realize because of drag racing being as diverse as it is, you could take someone like, I'm not even going to name a name. You could take a top tier, top fuel driver and put them in a big money bracket race and they wouldn't perform.
Yeah.
Now some, like such as a Sean Langdon, for example, does both, goes in and out of that world, and is certainly a top tier driver. But you may have someone who does big money bracket racing, and there's just no aspiration to go into top fuel. They are, plowing their furrow in a completely different segment of drag racing, enjoying it, loving it. And many of the best drag racers in the country, well, some of them are right now in St. Louis, well, across the river from St. Louis there at Worldwide Technologies Raceway at the original $1 million race, attempting to win a whole lot of money in bracket racing.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame them. I appreciate that a lot, because at the end of the day, that's where the greats and the grassroots of greats live. And I'm okay with them saying, hey, man, I don't have no interest in going pro. I love it here. And I say the same thing about people in the alcohol classes. You love that class, you stay in that class. I don't think there needs to be a progression. You do whatever it is that you want to do. And the fact that there are people that have that mindset is the reason why that the competition is so great. And why not? Why not be great at something different? Not everybody has the funding, first of all. And second of all, really not everybody has that drive to say, yeah, that's what I want to do is go and get in a nitro car. So I respect that, and I love it, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the heart of drag racing.
I agree. It certainly is. And also, when I can take my bracket car and, like last week at the Fling, win $50,000 if I am, a good enough competitor and the car stays consistent enough, well, yeah, why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had no problem with doing that.
Yeah. Why not take the shot?
Yep.
Why not? Well, there's plenty more that we can talk about here in the world of drag racing. We're going to do so in just a few moments after the break that we are going to take. I mean, Dugenais, we can talk about. There was another big money moment. $300,000, from what I understand, went to one drag racer in a one winner-take-all grudge match. That happened. And then you've got the Fling, the OG Millions happening right now. You have us going into the countdown now in NHRA competition. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Funny Car Chaos crowned a champion by 1 point.
Jeez.
And going into that race, there were 7 with the mathematical chance to possibly win the championship. So there's plenty in the world of drag racing to talk about. This is Competition Plus, but to get it done, you're probably going to need competition products and what they provide to go out there and win by 1 point, or get the $300,000 or the $50,000, or make it in the countdown. Competition products.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Dugenais, why can't top field racers just be cool?
I don't know, man.
I mean, was it not cool? XRP, Extreme Raceway Park, down there in Texas, grudge match between door slammers, and you've got an ex-football player and a YouTube guy, well, it's more than that, going at it, and one walks away with like $300,000.
No, that's fun. We need more of that.
I just, Like, there's top fuel stars that can throw that money. Steve Torrance could put up $100,000 against somebody out there and have a grudge match out in the middle of nowhere and burn some nitro. Why not?
Exactly. I mean, shoot, he is Capco, and I mean, they're like one of the best, if not the best, in laying all kinds of pipe to transfer oil and whatever it is that you want to transfer. He could definitely do it.
I mean, come on, top fuel. Like, nitro by itself is cool. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there are elements from the drag racing world. I think some of these top fuel guys, some of that professionalism that they think they've got to have, I think it's hurting them.
Yeah, it's too stuffy.
Yeah.
Just be real, just be natural, you know. And I think brands would appreciate that a little bit more. You know, it's not the Tiger Woods, I feel good, I play good, I like my chances type stuff.
Right. I mean, one pass, and that has got a whole lot of exposure out there in social media and on the web of what happened down there in Texas.
That's impressive. We need more of that, to be honest with you. And it would be cool to see guys who burn nitro get involved in a little bit of that.
Yes. If not even get into those cars. I think it was a great move. Antron Brown a couple of years ago got into the radio car, you know, in a door car. He's willing to do more out there in the world of drag racing. I don't know. Just stop being so boring at that level. Go do something cool. Or take your car and do something cool. Look, there is going to be a day in time, even though Scott Palmer might not have all the ticks of wins, that people who won in Top Fuel, they're not going to know their name for winning, but they're going to know Scott's name because of what he did as a showman.
Yeah. He is the leader in showman, and I appreciate that. And wish we could see a few more get out there and be showmen as well. And that's how you attract the novice who really doesn't care to pay attention to pro nitro and NHRA. Their focus is elsewhere. Right. And maybe you could grab their attention by doing that. At the very least, you're going to have a really good time because they're going to party and rock out regardless. So, I'd like to see that a heck of a lot more.
Right. So, somebody out there with Top Fuel dragsters, I want to see $100,000, and let's see it to be done. Come on, somebody. I know it's not my money. I don't say put your money up, but be cool, okay? Yeah. There's some of y'all out there in the Top Fuel ranks. You can just do that for the cool factor.
For sure.
And you'll probably get more exposure than you do on the late night rerun of NHRA on FS3 and have a fun time and bring some grudge racing, bring some match racing to somewhere and just have a good time while doing it. Thank you, Fletcher Cox and Justin Swanstrom. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
For sure. Speaking of fantastic stuff, very quickly, let me say, Funny Car Chaos, as I mentioned, congratulations to Shane Lawson, the Man of War 2 Funny Car, a McKinney chassis, by the way, wins the championship by 1 point.
Impressive.
And all throughout the day, from the A, B, C, and D fields, you had championship implications played out the whole entire time. Kirk Williams comes in as the points leader, and it is Kirk Williams versus Shane Lawson. Round 1.
Dang.
Kirk goes like 002 red.
Oh.
Shane goes on, is runner-up. Everyone else goes out. There's controversy with Wayne Hoffman and Randy Young, Randy, and there's Jade Cook. She goes out and wins, but even though she won, it wasn't enough because the other individuals, such as in Shane Lawson, did enough to win by 1 point. It all came down to one race, 1 point. to crown a championship.
That's fantastic.
Further proof you don't need a countdown.
Yeah.
Don't
at least the one that we've got in place right now with the participation packet.
And speaking of that, Paul Lee, thank you for stirring the pot this week on that matter.
Yeah, he stirred the pot on the matter. I understand where he's coming from. I understand the way it looks as far as how things got shaken out. I kind of echo the sentiments of Dave W. and the fact that I felt like he was taking a little bit of a shot at the guys who actually made the participation packet there. I've gone down the stats, and I don't know if you guys know anything about the statistics of these guys who are in. 11th is Cruz Pedregon, 12th is Buddy Hall, and 13th is Dave Richards. They have a combined win-loss record of 6-37. Dave Richards has 8. That's right, 8, like Super 8 consecutive first-round losses, and the DNQ to speak of. Buddy Hall 1-12, 1-3 in his last 4, and a DNQ. Cruz 2-4. He's got a better round win-loss record. Paul Lee's 8-13. He was 4-4 in his last 4. He only had 2 first-round exits. I think it was all year, or at least in his last 4. I understand where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, they knew what they needed to do to get in a countdown, and they fell short. All they had to do was beat Cruz, and I think they would have been in solidly. I don't know what the fix is for readjusting the points other than the fact that get rid of the participation packet, because at the end of the day, Paul Lee finished 11th, at least through the regular season. And maybe he does go on and try to continue being in 11th versus 10th. The fact of the matter is, too, if you were in 11th, you still have no shot in the top 10 because they're going to readjust the points, and you don't have a shot at climbing the ladder from 11th anyway. That's where you finish. Or I guess you could fall from there with the guys on the back end, which we call in fantasy football the consolation prize. I don't know what to do to fix it other than to get rid of the countdown. I would get rid of the participation packet. And the bottom line is, through the stats, what you guys heard right here, right now, none of those guys have a snowball's chance, and you know what, of doing anything at all. They're not a factor. And the fact of the matter is, the fact that you can write a PR packet and send it out about you being in the countdown, do you think sponsors look at that and look at your round win-loss record, look at the fact that you've been out 8 consecutive first rounds, you DNQ'd, and think that that's something to be proud of? It doesn't matter, guys. Loser. Doesn't matter. So cut the crap, get us a top 10, and make this thing interesting. Because because it looks good for the sponsors. Those records don't look good to sponsors.
They don't.
Can't possibly look good. They can't possibly be with their pom-poms cheering because you're the consolation prize in a countdown that you have no chance in hell of smelling anywhere in the top 10 because of your performance.
Right.
So cut the crap.
With Paul Lee making the post that he did on his social media, it did bring to light that there is confusion right now with the NHRA point system. There were many people who they're like, well, he didn't make the top 10, therefore he's out. That's the way it's supposed to be. And it's like, you don't understand his point. His point is not about not making the top 10, I don't think. I think if we had a situation where if it was just the top 10, I don't think Paul Lee makes the post that he makes. I think he'd be like, hey, we didn't make it.
Right.
But what I noticed is a lot of people don't understand that you can be out of the top 10, go to all the races, and be included in the countdown.
And you were behind Paul Lee. I think that's the big thing that I do get what he's saying, because those guys got moved around him and he had more points than them. But because they made all the races, it makes it look like he didn't do as good as those guys. And they get bumped up beyond him because they got the participation packet, when at the end of the day, they sucked worse than him.
Right.
Right. And he finished 11th.
Right. By missing a race.
Yes.
So if he goes to one race, he would be in. But if he goes to one more race, he's probably in even by the top 10.
Yeah, and here's my theory here. And this is what Dave W. said on the Not Blank show here earlier today. Epping, I get the deal and the funding, and it's way out there, but I think this should now be something that teams like him think about. Okay, so you don't have the money. It's going to cost you a little bit. Maybe it might put you a little bit closer to the red than really you want to be. Nobody said you got to go out there and run. You get your butt qualified in that thing. All you got to do is stage it and coast. Doesn't matter if you win that round, but you know what? You got those points. Because you got those points, your butt would be in the top 10 right now, because all you did was show up. All you got to do is make a simple run. They're good enough to do something on Friday to get them in solidly, that they don't have to worry about it. We've seen it all season long, that they've been in solid and not in most cases, not a chance to be bumped out. You get your butt in there, you go back, and once you're in, you ain't got to go qualifying no more if you're in solid, so you ain't got to burn up no more parts. And you come back out on Sunday and you're like, look, sure, could I race? Absolutely. But I don't want to push it any further than what I am because of my money. I go out there first round, I line up, and I let off the throttle and coast all the way down. Take the loss, take the points, put my butt in the top 10 when I'm there in Indy, and when I do a halfway decent job of putting myself in position to do so. That's my whole thing. Just do that next time. Because I hate to see the fact that now guys like Joe Morris are going to come out and run, but because of how this whole thing is shaking out, and now he looks like he was 14th or 15th, and he wasn't, and now it's a business decision, it sucks. Because I'd like to see Paul Lee and the gang out there running the rest of the races. But I understand the business decision, and I also understand the aesthetics of how it looks when the points are adjusted. And a guy who was in 11th is looking at himself being in 14th, and we're like, these jabronis were behind me. It is a dilemma. And to fix the dilemma, you guys cut the crap and act like you're doing people a favor, because you're not. It's garbage. 11 through 13 are 11 through 13 for a reason. Losers. So give us a top 10, a solid top 10, and run it like it's supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, what you're showing and what Paul Lee put out there and what is showing, that the whole thing and this participation packet that you're delivering is an absolute bona fide joke. Own it,
right.
Say you're wrong, and fix it. Stop doing the same stuff, expecting the same results, and then pacifying and giving us crap about piss poor excuses of why you're doing it. Because there's no excuse. It's just junk. Scrap, move on, give us a top 10 and do the right thing. Stop.
Right. And look, I think what Paul is saying is, I don't like the participation trophy aspect. I think if Paul misses the top 10 and it's a true top 10, we don't get that post.
No.
He missed it.
Yeah, and he knows that. He knows that.
Right. But with missing it, and yet you've got these individuals that go ahead and make it in because they were at all the races. I think that's the problem. It is the participation side of it.
Yes, a combined 6-37 round win-loss record. Together, they don't have more round wins than Paul had all season. Come on, son. It's laughable to me.
It really is. It really is. And Dave W., yes, there is confusion because people comment and don't realize that the participation trophy aspect is still a part of it.
Yes, they don't. It's apparent.
And by having this, it creates confusion. Top 10 cutoff, boom, you're in, boom, you're out. That makes sense. That is a playoff. Even the wild card for the NFL is based on performance.
Yeah. And that's where, like, I'm on Dave W's side on one half, but when I do understand the looks of it and how it looks to him, and then how this whole thing looks. And yeah, I do get the rule, but the rule is a dumb rule, and he's proving why it's a dumb rule and why we shouldn't be doing this. Because 3 jokers that couldn't combine beat his round win-loss record, jumped in front of him who were way behind him, and wasn't a snowball chance in hell that they were either passing him or 10th place.
Right. Yeah, and look, from people in the sport, we've had Ron Capps say, don't like the participation trophy aspect. We've had Greg Anderson on this very show say, do not like the participation trophy aspect. We've had Matt Smith on social media be clear, does not like it, does not support it. So you've got a representation from Funny Car, from Pro Stock Motorcycle. I'm sure somebody in Top Fuel echoes the same sentiment.
Yep. Abolish it. Because you're not doing anybody any favors. And I think I laid that out pretty clear. I mean, really, we're talking about playoffs, and homeboy only got 1 round win on the year. We talking about playoffs, and we're going to celebrate that? Like, really? Because the sponsor ain't celebrating that crap. I can tell you that right now.
No. Sponsor, I don't think sponsors are going to be happy by, you just got in. And you make that argument. Again,
there's no argument.
And if that is the, hey, if you make all the races, you get into this, and that is what like the NHRA is using to keep teams locked in, I think that's sad on the sport. Figure out something better. Figure out something that can help even part-time teams become full-time teams.
It's called money, bro. And don't act like y'all don't have it.
Right.
Stop playing with us. We ain't
right.
Most of us ain't dumb. All right.
We
know you got it. So it's called money. And I've said it from the jump. You got title sponsorships. There need to be multiple title sponsorships so you don't have to worry about the funding. But we know the money is there. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. These guys come out here and race and do their thing too. Because I mean, we're in a pretty good time right now with this sport, and a lot of you NHRA folks are bragging about it too. So all I'm saying is, y'all know what it needs to be done. Stop playing with these folks and do the right thing. Period. Because if you add a little money, hey, I guarantee you see some folks show up a lot more, and they're respected a little bit more if you ain't got this whack countdown that every fan in America completely hates, that knows something about it, completely hates. And the media continue to say about it, and your drivers are talking about it. So it's time for you to be embarrassed and fix it, period.
Look, we got to fix it. Got to fix it.
Yep. Because I mean, what is the incentive for a small guy? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what is the incentive? So, like I said, y'all know what to do. You heard me.
I think, very simply, it cheapens who is in that countdown opportunity for a championship. Now, look, we have not had many examples of someone going all the way from barely making in, running to making a championship. Matter of fact, I think the only one is Robert Height.
Yeah, only a few. And
So,
that has won a championship from deep is him. And
but it's possible.
Robert Height, bro. It's Robert Height.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. Just like we don't have a lot of wild cards running the table and winning a Super Bowl, but it has happened.
Yeah.
But a wild card still gets in on what?
Performance. Period. This is a performance-based business, man.
Yeah.
Come on now.
And look, if you're out there defending the participation trophy aspect, then you're probably part of the problem with society today overall. Handing out a trophy. Look, people win, people lose. And people make playoffs and people don't make playoffs.
Right.
I don't think, for the most part, I feel like people are fine with the countdown. I'm fine with a countdown, a playoff. We're in a sport that eliminates people. You show up, you attempt to qualify. If you qualify, then you go through an elimination process for a winner. I'm fine with a playoff in NHRA drag racing, but let it be a real playoff.
Yeah, because it's not real. And look, Billy Torrance gets in top 10. I'll go to one that's better, though. Alexis DeJoria. They've had ups and downs. It's the car, then she's not on, the car's not on. It hasn't all come together, but they found a way to get themselves in to the countdown. And all that hard work just kind of feels like, meh, because you got 3 jabronis behind you that, because they made everything, they get to be a part of it too. So it really kind of lessens the hard work that it took for you to break the barrier and to be able to get in that 10th spot. Yeah.
Right. Again, I think we need to fix if you make all the if you go to all the races, you get more money, not a countdown spot.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
Help them to be able to perform better to make a countdown spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's fix that.
It's all about
and if we fix that, then maybe we'll have Pro over here creating Pro Promotions LLC to try to get a bigger piece of the pie.
Yep. Got to put pressure on folks, man. That's how things grow.
Yeah.
That's how things grow. I mean, just take a look at the sport of professional wrestling. Everything was cozy and comfortable and boring as all get out when WWE was the only show in town. And when AEW came along, people talk about TNA, and I love TNA, but TNA wasn't putting pressure on nobody. Y'all know that. But when AEW came to town, WWE had to start making some changes because there were some new things being tried out that put pressure on them to have to move things forward a little bit and actually have to put in work and look at the products that we have because these two entities exist. It's the same thing. It only makes a better product when you're not the Lone Ranger out there sitting in cruise control in your nice little caddy, just chilling, riding down the I-10, chilling. When somebody got to put a little pressure on you, you start becoming a little bit more creative about how things go and what gets done and the purses and all of that. So I'm all for it. Competition makes greater product.
Right. And for folks out there saying, like, why does Paul even bother saying what he did? You don't get change unless you say something. That's simple. And I just
wish people would say that before the season starts. And
I think people have been
put pressure on them.
I think people have been, and there hasn't been a change. And frankly, we probably won't see a change anytime soon, if ever. Because if you're in right now, guess what? I get it. You're very thankful.
But I'm gonna tell you right now. So, Steve and Billy don't need this. All right, they got money. Mike Salinas, he don't need this. When big boys start saying, you know what, you don't want to change, all right, I see you when you do. bet you some movement get done then. See, if
Imagine.
you want change, sometimes you gotta make change.
True.
You gotta let them know who really is the boss at this point.
Right.
And I know they kind of think they sitting in the driver's seat, but the last time I checked, you let them boys roll up out of here. I even say Matt Hagan too. Let them boys roll up out of here and see what happens.
Right.
All right. See what kind of products you got then. So there's a way to get it done now. You don't want to listen, you make them listen.
Right. Look, it shocks me to this day that there are so many enamored with the Wally, and yet they complain about the treatment and their place in the sport.
Yep. Sometimes you got it. Sometimes you got to make them listen. And
Right.
hey, top alcohol guys, ladies and gentlemen too. Hey, sometimes you got to make them jokers listen.
Right.
It's a way to fix it now.
Look, for the sake of the sport and competition and clarity, take away the participation award into the countdown. Honestly, it is like the only area in drag racing that we have this. There's no champion provisional. You can't just show up and be in a race. You have to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that you are allowing this and it's not performance based? It is a fly in the ointment.
Yep, it is. It is. Because you know what? It's going to be a fantastic countdown with all these dang cars running so well. And we talked about it on the show. I really feel like that in Top Fuel and in Funny Car, it could come down to Pomona. And Top Fuel is the most wide open class out of all of them, with the cars that you have located, and with each person from Sean down to Tony has shown flashes of greatness. It's going to be interesting, very interesting. And the first 3 races are going to tell the tale. I love the fact there's 3 back-to-back races, because that's going to tell the tale right there. And it could be one of these things where it could come down to Sunday and maybe a semi or a final to decide who's going to be champion. And I'm loving every bit of it. This is going to be really, really good. And imagine the elevation, the hype, the prompt and circumstance, if we shall say, if it was just a top 10.
Well, most time it plays out that even the top 10 is not fully major players. In very few examples of someone rocketing from the bottom all the way to the top. And we may have it this year, but it's unlikely. I agree with you. We're going to have a solid countdown. I don't have any issue with the countdown, but take away this. If you show up, find something better to go to all the races.
Yeah, it kills the potential. It kills all the potential hype that could really be. Could you imagine if it was just a top 8?
Well, it was at one time.
I like that a lot too.
I do too.
That's pressure. Top 8 is pressure. But whatever. Top 10, I'm cool. Just make it the real top 10. So it can carry that mystique when you're coming into the U.S. Nationals and folks are qualifying points or rounds away from being in or not being in. And that is absolutely, that's what makes the sport great. That's what sets you up for this big crescendo of a 6-race playoff.
Right. We used to have great moments with Indy concerning points of who's in or who's not.
Yeah.
And we still do have that, but it's only with people that are of the part-time status, or in the case of Brittany Force, she has that one where she misses, and for very good reasons, but nonetheless had to crack in. And again, the whole awarding to 11th, 12th, 13th because they showed up. We don't need it.
Yeah. And Kroger sucks 45. It's not a disrespect. It's called stats. And the numbers don't lie. And are you celebrating one-win teams in the NFL? Are we celebrating offers in the NFL? People who don't win a game? No. They're not celebrated. They get the first round pick. That's just sports. And in the big picture, bruh, that's life. If you don't show up and if you don't do your job, you take L's. And in life, there are a lot of L's. And that's the problem with society today, with these young kids who don't know how to take L's because of the participation trophy society of everybody wins. Because in life, everybody doesn't win Kroger sucks 45. So I'm sorry your feelings are hurt because the truth is being told, but that's just the facts of the matter. And that's life. That's real life. Deal with it or find another planet.
Right, Dave W. Last year we had 16, and if I remember correctly, having the number one seed on the show said it was kind of a joke. I mean, even the competitors.
Yeah.
Sorry. I again, countdown, cool. Let's have a playoff, but let it be a real playoff.
Yep. I'm not here to pacify y'all. I just hope y'all know that. I'm not here to pacify y'all, and I'm not going to sit up here and tell you lies. You want to be serenaded and held and coddled, go to some other damn show. Because I'm not your Huckleberry. I'm not that dude. I tell it like it is. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Because that's just life too. Some of y'all just don't know how to take it. And that's fine. It's called soft.
Well, I mean, look, Dave W. make a great point. You know, the countdown does not always produce these dramatic shifts. And I think we see that in other playoffs across sports. You don't always see dramatic shifts. Sometimes the best team does go out there and win throughout. So it does happen. But nonetheless, let's cut it on performance.
Yep.
I mean, frankly, I think in a perfect world, because we're still talking about this to this day, the NHRA just goes back and go point system. Just get it over with. But that is not happening.
But they're afraid of a runaway.
For sure, they are. Yes.
They're afraid of a runaway. And I don't know. I'd like to know that. I'd like to know how many times in the old point system and how things were done, how many times was there a runaway champion? In most class, in every class, how many times was the champion a complete runaway and within like 3 or 4 races it was over with? How many times did that happen?
I do not know right away.
I mean, I don't know either, but it's something I would like to know. But I mean, I can see if the stats said, you know, that it was on a regular basis that this was happening and things didn't matter with 3 or 4 or 5 races left. I mean, we've seen John win some championships, you know, really, really early, and everybody else is just going for honorable mention at, you know, for the next several races. So I get trying to generate a level of competition that extends all the way till season's end. But I would like to see that and see if that really mattered or not, or whether.
Well, Dave W. is saying that less than 30% of all championships were decided at the last race. And, overlooking and just off the top of my head and think about some of the championships like Kenny, and then you mentioned John and Bob and certainly many others, you had a lot of runaways, or you get down and it's only 2. A lot of times we're going in and there's a shot now for 4 to have that opportunity to win at Pomona. Not always, but sometimes that's the case. A lot of times you got a situation where, like last year, Erica just pretty much had it. She needed to just qualify.
Yeah.
I don't even think she needed to qualify. But, that was done. You got people needing to make a round 1 win type of scenario. I think Andrew does make a good point. Because it's been changed, it's best to stick with the countdown instead of going back, because there's not a point system right no matter what you do. And back to your comment, Andrew, like with FCC, the drop is for the racers, and they want that, and they're fine with that because they can miss a race budgeting wise, because they are those type of racers, and you can still compete for a championship though you lost a race. And it levels that playing field. So I'd say maybe there isn't a perfect point system. We are what we're in. The rules are the rules, but like Paul Lee did, if you want the rules changed, you got to say something.
There's ways of getting change done.
Right. You got to do something about it. And we'll see what the competitors keep saying, and we'll see what the NHRA does. I am fine with the countdown, but I would love to see this. I mean, I don't know. Do you really want to wave the banner that you are like 14th and in the countdown? I don't know.
That's wild to me. I got a question for you. I saw it in the comments. What was your thought? I don't know if you had the opportunity to look at it. I kind of half looked at it. What was your thought on the Factory X deal with the rule change?
From what I have seen, you can see what the NHRA has to say about it on NHRAracer.com. The infractions are actually all infractions come out on NHRAracer.com. And if I remember correctly, it's 6 infractions. And they are all Chevrolets, if I remember correctly. And we're talking about like even Aaron Stanfield and Greg Stanfield. Aaron Stanfield's leading the points, if I remember correctly, in Factory X. I think the biggest fallout from it is obviously Jeff Turk. I mean, you're talking about the poster child car for this class and someone that really was instrumental in the development of it.
Right.
Gave a lot for the class, even some of his own very health. And he feels very much so that it was not a heavy enough penalty for what transpired. And I know many are saying pulleys, and that is a part of it, but there's also something Jeff mentioned behind the engine. All right. Now, I don't know exactly what that infers. I'm going to reach out to Jeff, see if he can get some more clarity, maybe even have him on my show if he's willing to talk some more on it. But the only fault, Jeff's not the only fault. You've got others. And just go to Blackbird Performance. He's got a long post. And in the post, in the comment section, you have competitors actually chime in about their disappointment. And I frankly think Factory X effectively running in the NHRA, nope. I think this might have killed it to some extent, or it might be zombified from here on out, because it's been such a slow process.
Right.
To get it to where they want it. And at this point, you've got the only Dodge saying, we're not going to run. You've got some Ford guys saying, we're not going to run. and that brand identity will no longer be there, and you have people that will be saying what they already say, and that it's just a Chevy show, and you basically have the same issue that you have in Pro Stock.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jeff's issue is that the penalties were not heavy enough.
It's tough, man. It's tough, but and the class was actually pretty decent too. So that's unfortunate, though.
Right. Now, I do know that there is interest to have these cars run elsewhere and run them uncorked. For example, IHRA possibly we could see these cars, but you very, very well, you're probably going to see this car in particular, that what you have of these cars, they're probably not going to be continued to be built. You've got what you got. They might run elsewhere, and Factory X becomes this little footnote in drag racing history, and we kind of all say what could have been.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Now, I hope I'm wrong, and it turns around. Everything works out, but I don't think it's going to happen. Doesn't
look good.
No.
Yeah. I saw a couple of racers' comments on it, and it didn't seem to be positive, so it doesn't seem like a group of folks are going to come back. So, yeah, that's sad for I thought they had something there.
I did too. I mean, so many of us were like, future of Pro Stock.
Yeah.
Like, here it is. It's captured the essence of what Pro Stock really should be. And I think possibly in the attempt to be competitive and have that competitive edge, they have killed something that could have been. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. But again,
well, Dave W., I think you're wrong. I really like Factory X, and I was really hoping it would possibly, take the place. And well, that's what I mean. It was being slower to get there where it needed to be, but it could have got there, but we're not going to see it get there. So I think we're all wrong at this point, possibly, on what it could have been, because it's effectively zombified.
But was it kind of a overlap? Because you got was it Factory Stock?
Yeah, Factory Stock Showdown, yes.
And then in the Factory X, was that kind of a redundant thing?
To some extent, you could see it as redundant. I mean, you talk to someone like you talk to some of the NHRA officials, and they're going to express that the idea was to get those that build cars elsewhere in the drag racing world to build cars in drag racing. That was one of the aspects of this. So, like, say, a Skinny Kid race cars, or some of the other car builders out there, and it not just be such as is Pro Stock or Pro Mod, where it is very typical to look through a Pro Stock field and you've got everybody running, well, just about the same chassis, or you got two chassis builders building throughout the field. The idea was, let's have a class where you've got a lot of different chassis builders pouring into it, and also appeal to a different set of drag racer. And that didn't happen, I don't think, to a great extent. And you also do have some people come away from Factory Stock because they were disgruntled there about rule changes. They go to Factory X and they get the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, look, I don't want the NHRA's job when it comes to parity and trying to find that. But this class, it's effectively, at this point, you might see it at national events, but after this, it very well might be done.
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time for them to get the cars out, and then yes. I think that's Dave's point. The Blackbird was pretty much the front runner, and everybody else was playing catch up, and they've kind of gotten close a little bit, but everybody is still trying to find their way. It's not like there's a field of cars that run the same, and it's going to be guaranteed each and every time. So,
right.
Yeah. And then you add changes to that, you set yourself back. And if you tick people off, they're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Right. And there was people trying to figure out, hey, how do we get these cars to operate? And, they were trying to throw pro stock things into a car that's not a pro stock car.
Yeah.
There was that. And then you do have the NHRA making rule changes. There was rule changes made while cars are still in the jig.
Man. Yeah. That's difficult because people are pouring money into something, and then they have to, if they're almost to the point of finishing, then you have to make all these extra changes, and that costs money. It is the fact that the R&D is pretty much left. You know what I mean? There's no innovation anymore. There's no Don Garlits anywhere in any class anymore because it's pretty much standard. I mean, this class pretty much was going to be able to have at least some kind of innovation. Obviously, it was going to take time because it's something totally new. But is that hurting? Does that hurt classes when you think about wanting to bring in something new? At the beginning, you kind of have to have a little bit of innovation and the ability to have a room to grow or a room to kind of expand a little bit to find out where the limits are and to get the class off the ground. Because at the end of the day, everybody's working with something they don't 100% understand, and they're bringing these cars out and racing them. So everything's always inconsistent because they too are learning how to tune and work these cars to meet the best, quarter mile and making the best passes consistently and making the class competitive.
Yep. There's been issues with the class ever since the beginning, and I think one of the most apparent was when the NHRA had the first pass at a national event with Greg Stanfield, and it was a no-time pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's
for a body that, when do they run no time?
Yeah. Unless the timer breaks. Or a guy leaves way too soon.
So maybe these cars, they are cool. Maybe they find somewhere in the radio world. Maybe they find maybe it's IHRA. But I think what these cars are and what they were being built as and around in the NHRA, you're not going to see a future with them.
That's unfortunate. It really is.
I think it is too.
Because I think the class could have been something, honestly. And there were people that did enjoy it because it looked like old pro stop. So
again, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great concept, but they began adding too much and changing too much, and just let it play out, and then start working on it.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. That's true though, Dave. Like that makes it even harder when we're losing those muscle cars. Those cars are discontinued now. It sucks. That's hard. That's hard. Very hard.
Well, and that's something for a performance section of the car world, such as drag racing. What is next from Chevrolet? Okay. Yeah. What is next for the Dodge camp?
Mm-hmm.
What is next? I mean, Ford seems like they're going to have some edition of the Mustang around for a very long time. Granted, they're using that nameplate now much broader than they ever have.
Yeah. So
what is the future for Chevrolet, Dodge, any other manufacturer that may participate in?
Yeah. I mean, we got an electric SUV Mustang.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do not think electric though is ready and is it. Battery technology is not where it needs to be, and that's for electric cars, period. And you haven't really figured out. I mean, if the lithium ion battery is better, we haven't figured out how to contain that and to not have a complete and utter meltdown if this ion battery decides to grenade. There's no stopping it. The only stopping it is letting it burn out. You can't even put it out. So I don't think electric it's not there yet for anything, and for many reasons, but battery technology just is not there yet. And it sounds good, but ultimately I think manufacturers are going to really realize real quick that this can't happen as soon as we would like. I mean, if you own an electric car and that joker goes out, it's likely a $20,000 bill that you're going to foot.
Right.
The car's junk. If you have an all-electric car and the batteries go out, the car's junk.
Yeah, there's massive issues. I think one of the biggest is just the grid itself.
Yeah, man. We're already taxed.
We're already pretty taxed on the grid and the infrastructure. But yes, Andrew, I did see a video of that electric Junior on fire, and that was wild.
It was.
That was wild. And it brings up a great point. Look, I love the idea. I've seen electric Juniors. They're pretty cool. And I've got nothing against electric vehicles. Some of the earliest vehicles were electric, actually, all the way back. But how do you deal with the safety aspect of it? Like, I really want, at that drag strip, like, were they prepared? Did they have a particular fire extinguisher to go put that out? And I imagine they didn't.
No.
I don't know what was the end result of that video. I'm sure they just had to let it burn.
Yeah,
or maybe they doused it with enough. I don't know. But
especially with the lithium ion battery, there's nothing to put that out. Putting it out is letting it burn until it burns out. It's crazy. Like I said, those problems have to be solved first before you can ever start producing cars like that. There's a big, huge question mark on that whole thing. It sounds good, but there needs to be more innovation done to achieve what they look to achieve as far as electric cars. Starts with the battery.
Yes. Andrew, yes, it just did kind of disappear. I think that program did its thing. It proved what it needed to prove, and funding was probably pulled. It's that simple.
Yeah. It has, and that has to be expensive. You know what I mean? Sure. Those things are not like, it's not like those type of electric parts are just at the ready. You know what I mean? It's not mass produced like that. So that had to be really expensive for them too. It was a cool little deal that they had going on, but I would think, that would be a hefty bill. Could you imagine trying to build 8 cars like that? It has to be extremely expensive.
I imagine so. Well, we're all looking forward to this weekend, the drag racing that will take place up in Reading. And I'm hoping and looking forward to drag racing this weekend in Knoxville. Hopefully it's able to take place at the Southeast Gassers Association, but the tropical storm that's going to be moving through makes that part of the country quite interesting of what it may or may not get. And that may be the case for many other people in the world of drag racing. So if you're going to go out and enjoy Maple Grove, well, have fun and enjoy what tends to set us up with quite an interesting round 1 of the countdown.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of my favorite. That was the track that I actually got introduced to NHRA drag racing at in first grade. So they've done a great job with that facility too, man. They really have put money into it and made it a real shining gem. I love the fact that there's at least one session or a few sessions where we get a couple hero sessions out there due to the weather. And I hope it's the same, but I'm really hoping that Gage can check this one off his list here. This is the only one he hasn't won at. So it'll be interesting to see if he can accomplish that feat. And it'll be interesting to see if they come out and really punch the field in the mouth and drop some jaws a little bit with their performance. It's going to be fun. It always is, though.
It is going to be fun wherever you are at. Let us know in the comment section where you'll be. Look, if you don't got major league drag racing nearby, go to your local drag strip and enjoy a drag race. Heck, I highly recommend. I've been able to be a part of the big money bracket races a couple of times now, and routinely, like on the live streams, you'll have one or two comment like, "Where are all the fans? How does this happen without all the fans?" And bracket racing, if you don't know, can be rather boring. I get it, but at the level of the big money bracket races, when you see people putting together perfect runs, and you see people losing, and they were only off by like 1,000th, and things of that nature, it's like, oh, wow. And not to mention, I just enjoy seeing cool cars. And you do see some very cool cars out there in the bracket racing world, other than dragsters. Dragsters are boring. Like, look, if you're out there and you got a dragster, stop going with the tribal paint, okay? We've done that, okay? Do something different. I don't know what, just do something different. No, they are beautiful cars, don't get me wrong. Everything's painted, the wheels and, bell housing, rear end. They're beautiful cars, don't get me wrong. But just do something else opposed to the tribal look. But, you can definitely see some very cool cars at some of these big money bracket races. For example, I think one guy had a Dodge Charger from the early 80s, the little Charger. I'm not sure I've ever seen one in person.
I've never seen one.
And he had one, did a cool burnout with it every time. It was cool. One guy was bracket racing a 56 Chevrolet. It looked like he was ready to just roll down to the local drive-in and get a milkshake and a cheeseburger. There were some very cool cars, some cars that bring back some history. Like there's one guy, he had a Thunderbird from the early 90s. He's like, okay, that's got to have some pro stock history, the way in which it was set up. So go enjoy a drag race.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot about NHRA drag racing here tonight, but drag racing is too diverse for you to be just all on NHRA drag racing.
Yeah, the Grudge race scene is really fun. I just like the guys. I like seeing the guys. They'll, especially in this group that I'm in from my area. So if there's races and one guy's calling another guy out, they usually set up this like Facebook Live and they're talking back and forth, and it's hilarious. It really is hilarious. But the racing and the cars that show up there are very impressive. They race at some things that I'm just like, what? Y'all don't have any type of EMS here. You got to call them and they got to come from an hour away. Nah.
Right.
You can't get me to go down those drag strip like that.
Right.
But, man, the cars that show up are impressive, man. And they run hard. A lot of big money on the line, man. A lot of big money on the line.
Yes, absolutely. There's some cool scenes from obviously NHRA Nitro to Southeast Gas Association, big money bracket racing, and beyond. If you are looking for it in drag race, I think I shared earlier on a story on Instagram. It's in like Thailand. It is some type of tilling machine that they're hanging off the back of, drag racing out in a field. Okay. And these things zip. I mean, and they're just barely hanging on. and it's going through a field. I don't know.
I mean, they got they got top fuel cars on dirt tracks too with the mud tires.
Oh yeah, sand rails. Oh yeah, the sand rail scene.
That is crazy.
I have been to one. I have filmed one, and the dirt/sand drag racing is such a cool scene. Very cool scene. Happens very quickly. Shorter tracks for the most part, and it is a very neat scene to be a part of an experience. And I don't know. Some of y'all take time and don't just watch Fox. Don't just watch NHRA.tv and actually go to a race and experience something. Dave W. did mention, I do want to take the time, since he did mention it, and a very good point, that John Lawson this past weekend at the Funny Car Nationals at US 131 Motorsports Park said that he's made his last passes. He's been doing it for a very long time, and that he is going to go into retirement. Maybe we'll see maybe just retire him as a driver and the car stay out there and another driver, something of that nature. But I saw a post also on his social media. So he did post on his social media. If you'll search John Lawson's Runaway, you can find some more information on that. Thank you for bringing that up, Dave. And John, thank you for your time for Burning Nitro. And I hope you continue to do it. Maybe put someone else in the car and give them a shot. Yeah,
that's pretty fun to be able to go out the way you want to go out. I think drag racing in some ways is kind of like football. Not everybody gets the opportunity to go out the way that they want to, and it doesn't happen every day that people just, get to race their career. And when they're done, they get to choose. Sometimes it's funding and other things that stop people from racing, and not necessarily because they don't want to. So that's cool to be able to see that he was able to go out the way he wanted to.
Yes. Well, look, to Jim Oberhofer, thank you for the time. To Kayla and Cali, thank you for your time. By the way, that was so cool. Look, it was great to talk to Jack Beckman last week. It's good to talk to Jim O. We, been able to talk to some great people right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. But it's the conversations with Kayla and Cali that I really enjoy the most.
Yeah,
and so glad we had them on and can be able to showcase them to the drag racing world. It's cool to see. Got those young ladies out there in competition and Eliminator. I think it's also cool to hear people saying, though you want people moving up into the upper ranks, and there's plenty of people that are doing that, you've got someone like Kayla saying, hey, competition Eliminator, it's my pro stock. I'm where I want to be. I think that's really cool.
That's very cool. And those conversations are really fun. You learn stuff. Everybody learns something. But it's nice to talk to where the heart of drag racing really is and experience that.
Yes. Folks, thank you for watching the Competition Plus Power Hour. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Join us next Tuesday as well, where we will continue to talk the narrative on drag racing. And by the way, remember, folks, this isn't cancer. This isn't a war in Ukraine. Let's enjoy it. Let's call for some change. But it is drag racing.
Yep, it is.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.